Peace, family. Welcome to another episode. Let me move my Buddha statue over. Oh man, with the brother Billy Carson, man,
Hey, all
living
right.
legend, man. Welcome back, brother.
Thank you, man. Looking forward to this. Thanks for having me back.
Indeed, I'm looking forward to having a great conversation about your documentary.
Yeah.
Got a chance to view it the other day, and it was phenomenal, my brother. You did an amazing job on it.
Thank
Amazing.
you. Thank you, man.
The editing, the graphics, the
Yeah.
research, investigative research. I
Thank you.
advise everybody. In fact, I'm gonna post the link right now. The link is actually in the description, but I'm gonna post the link right now for those who are interested in seeing it. I'm gonna post the link before we even get started, where you can
Mm.
watch the Black Knight satellite documentary. Man, it's awesome, family.
Thank you.
But yeah, family, good to have y'all back in here. For everybody that's asking, the video with Yaki will most likely be up tomorrow. We had some more editing, some additional editing that had to get done that we weren't aware of. So that video should be up tomorrow night. Tomorrow, if I get it by the night, I'm gonna post it tomorrow, not 9 p.m. tomorrow. But I'll keep you updated. I don't want to keep telling y'all things and then I don't post it. So as soon as I find out, I'll let everybody know. But as of right now, I'm gonna try to get it up tomorrow night. All right, family. Let's get to some commercials and then we're gonna be right back. We're gonna have a great conversation with my brother Billy Carson. All right, family. Sit tight, hit the like button, get comfortable. We'll be right back.
Hey there! Had a bad dream? I have dreams too. Some parts are scary and some parts are fun. Always remind yourself, it's only a dream and everything will be okay. I had a dream about being in a forest too. Check it out, my pet Petey was with me. Order your copy of Kayla Petey and the Forest on Amazon today.
Hey, this is King Simon, the International Numerator. Remember, get all my books on Amazon or go to Linktree/King Simon the Numerator. And remember, don't forget to book my sessions at 347-496-1022. Book now.
All right, family. Hey man, so Billy, like I said, the documentary was better than what I thought it would be. I can't even front. I knew it was
Thank
gonna be good, but you overdid you outdid yourself with this one, man. So
Thank you, man.
good work with that. I want to start out and get right to it. I did an interview. Remember when we had the panel?
Yeah.
You, Dr. Valentine, Rod Hayes, and brother Yosef.
Yeah.
So I was talking to the brother Rod Hayes. I was talking to Rod. I did an interview with Rod Hayes last week about Saturn,
Mm-hmm.
and he happened to bring up Black Knight Satellite.
Mm.
So I said, Ish, I got an interview with Billy coming up. I got to
Yeah.
see the documentary. I said, I'm gonna ask him what you just mentioned. So I'm gonna. Oh, I thought I had it on my. Where's it at, family? I had it queued and everything, family.
Oh man.
All right, while I cue that,
Yeah.
Billy, because I'm gonna get that ready. Tell the people briefly.
Yeah.
What is Black Knight Satellite and what is this documentary that you came out with that everybody's talking about?
Yeah, definitely, man. Appreciate it.
Mm.
So the Black Knight Satellite is a documentary about this object that is orbiting Earth right now, and it's been up there for a very, very long time. And the first person to discover signals coming from this object is Nikola Tesla back in the late 1800s. He actually got signals from this thing, documented them, and in his mind, he thought they might be coming from Mars because he knew at the time that nothing was around the planet except for us. There was no signals being broadcast except for the ones he was working on learning how to broadcast when he created the concept for radios through crystals and so forth, but definitely not anything coming from space. And then much later, fast forward to like 1953, ham radio operators started picking up a signal coming from space. Not one, but a few of them. And this signal was a repeating signal depicting intelligence. They started marking down these codes and working on deciphering them. And they had deciphered that they had given a location of a constellation. And then in 1960, a person that was heavily into astronomy and astrophysics and was also a journalist for Time magazine also wrote about this, and it made Time magazine in 1960. Again, you got to remember, this is the golden era of trying to learn how to get things up in orbit. And there should have been nothing up there when there was. And he also did a decoding of these signals and came up with the very similar conclusion that the other previous people had come up with, that this thing is giving the location of a specific constellation, which we'll talk about tonight. And then after that, after it made Time magazine, they found that this thing was in a polar orbit. In other words, it's orbiting the planet pole to pole, not around the equator, which is pretty interesting because we couldn't do that ourselves until like the 1980s successfully. And so this thing was far advanced, way ahead of its time. And it's pretty interesting that it was up there. There was actually another object up there along with it. It seemed to have moved and gone somewhere. Nobody knows exactly where it's gone. It was tracked by the U.S. military, the Navy, the Air Force, the space agencies. It's gone. It left. It went somewhere on its own. Intelligent design. This other object, the Black Knight, is what it's been nicknamed. It orbits the planet, but it has had a few course corrections of its own. It has gone and made a couple of adjustments, which again depict intelligent design. It's either someone is controlling this thing or it's controlling itself through maybe AI or remote control or whatever. But what's interesting is it's giving off this signal, and this signal might be what China just detected the other day. They said they're getting a signal from space. Well, it's probably the Black Knight satellite, to be honest with you. And so it's a pretty interesting thing. And I learned about this probably close to 10 years ago now, just doing space anomalies and working on looking and tracking data from the probes from the agencies. And I came across this object and people were talking about it. And at first I was like, yeah, whatever, this is weird. And then I saw it again and I heard about it again. And so I said, let me dig deeper into this before I just, push it aside. And the deeper I digged into it, the more information I was able to pull out that started connecting all the dots that this thing might be real. And then come to find out, it was documented by the STS-88 mission in 1988 as the space shuttle flew right by it and documented in HD and 4K. And that was it. Then I knew this thing was a real deal. They labeled it space junk because they didn't know what the heck to call it. So it's a pretty interesting topic, man. And it's something that I thought the world needed to know about. And the research that I put into this to find out even more about it, like what star system it's from, who it's communicating with, why is it above the Earth in that particular type of orbit, what capabilities does it have in that type of orbit, is it linked to anything on Earth? And we found out the answer is yes. It's linked to ancient civilizations on Earth that go pre-history. So this thing is really old because the signal that it's giving off is giving the location of Epsilon Boötis constellation in the sky based on the precession of the equinoxes, where it was in the sky 11 to 13,000 years ago, basically. So we're talking about an object that was around the time of the Ice Age is when it got dumped off in orbit and left there. And it's transmitting information to another star system and also to Earth.
So you're saying it's been up there? It came into our orbit around the Ice Age?
Yeah. Yes. And that's the information downloaded directly from the object itself. The NSA has even decoded this information.
So how does this decoding a signal work? Like, how do you decode a signal? 0, 0, like, how does this work?
It's giving off these specific tones that can be broken down into letters and numbers. And then those letters and numbers, there's an NSA document on this that can then be converted into binary. And then from binary, you can get the actual information. And so Duncan Lunan successfully did it. 2 other ham radio operators successfully did it. And other people now have successfully done it as well. And there's an NSA document that we show in the actual documentary that Jimmy Church has in his hand. We have the actual document, which is declassified document. You just have to know where to look for it. And it specifically spells out exactly how to break down the code and how to communicate back with them as well. Pretty interesting.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's when y'all was breaking that down. That Jimmy Church did a great job.
Yeah,
he did a great job on the documentary. He did a great job.
Man. He was fired.
Yeah, shout out to Jimmy Church on that right there. I want to get into this clip. Hopefully it plays, and I want to get your opinion because there was a lot of people you had in the documentary. Everybody's speculating about exactly what is Black Knight satellite. So it's always interesting to hear these different perspectives and just try to formulate a conclusion based on all these perspectives, you know.
Yeah.
Let me see. I hope this works, family. Shout out to everybody. We got almost 1,000 people in the room. For everybody who came in late, the Yaki interview will most likely be posted tomorrow. I know everybody's waiting on that. That will most likely be posted tomorrow. As soon as I find out any information, I will let everybody know. All right. Let's see. Let me share this screen. Let's go to the window. Shout out to my brother Rod Hayes also. All right. Hopefully this audio plays. Can you hear that, Billy?
It's kind of low, but yeah.
Remember that, Michael Tober?
I got the book.
Tablet.
Michael Tower, yeah. Bobby Hemming put me on that book. Yeah. You can
So
hear
when
it?
he talking about the light lock, when we talk about the light lock, the alien light lock.
Wait, hold on. I'm sorry, y'all. Let me I think I gotta rewind it just a little bit. Bear with me because this is important to me. Because we're really investigating. We're really trying to figure this thing out, family.
Yeah.
Personality that they're gonna be sinister. And they smart as hell, but you won't never know it.
Hey, man, Rod, man, I want to thank you once again for coming on the show, brother. This is a show, man. I got to watch this a couple of...
And they both hard to find. They rare editions. Right? The moon and the Dark Knight satellite work in conjunction in the holographic universe. Remember that, Michael Tober?
I got the
Michael Tablet.
Michael Tower, yeah. Bobby Hemming put me on that book, yeah.
So when he's talking about the light lock, we talk about the light lock, the alien light lock, we talk about the holographic universe. This is what we're talking about. Because you got to have two fixed points to project two opposing images that cross each other in order to formulate a fabric of three-dimensional fixed position reality.
So that's the moon and the Black Knight satellite.
Yeah.
All right. So I'm gonna end it there.
Yeah.
So the Black Knight satellite and the moon somehow working together to create this holographic reality that we live in, some sort of Palladian light lock that we are under right now as a result of it.
That's an incredible perspective on it. Never even considered that perspective. Now, he is right about one thing that I know for sure, other than the theory that he has, which is very interesting. I'd like to explore it further. But the fact that the moon and the Black Knight satellite are located at the same exact Lagrange point.
It's the L5, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
You know, so that's incredible. Now, what's even more interesting to let you know how technologically advanced this thing is, if you're at the same exact Lagrange point in orbit around the planet, and one is going this way and one is going this way. So the moon's going this way, right? And the Black Knight's going this way. Now, that's pretty interesting because that's a sophisticated dance of two things. They can never crash into each other. You know what I'm saying? So slight course adjustments might need to be made over time to ensure that you never actually crash on the crisscross. Because you're at the same exact Lagrange point, you can definitely crash into, have a collision, but they never crash into each other for thousands of years. Very interesting. Yeah. That's crazy, man. That's intelligent design.
Wow.
Yeah, definitely intelligent design.
Yeah, I want to just explore that. I mean, that's an amazing theory and concept to even think about the Black Light satellite having such a relationship with the moon in terms of what we are experiencing with time down here in this dimension. You know how the woman they operate on a 12-month cycle, not a 12-month cycle, but the moon kind of dictates their period. Before in ancient civilizations, is there any account that it was like that, or was it different when we were governed by a different energy, or is this something that when the moon came into our reality, that's when this cycle started to happen?
What's pretty interesting, if you look at the Sumerian tablets, which I got to always go back to the earliest account of where Earth came from, That's the only thing that I can really reference. Okay. And so Tiamat, there wasn't an Earth. The Earth didn't even exist yet. We had Mercury, Venus, and then we had this other planet named Tiamat. Tiamat was 4 to 6 times larger than Earth. It was a water-bearing planet with life. It had land and everything. This planet was so massive. Now, what's interesting is the tablets describe this planet, even though Earth didn't exist. How in the world did they even know what it looked like? That's a crazy question to answer because they weren't looking at it from Earth. And what they say is that this planet, Tiamat, it rivaled the sun's glory because the sun would reflect off of it. There's so much water on it that it would shine bright from a distance, rivaling the sun's brightness. Now, what happened is, if you look at the way that our galaxy is set up, right now we're actually absorbing the Sagittarius dwarf galaxy. So we are in the process of merging. The Milky Way is merging with Sagittarius dwarf galaxy right now. At the exact point where Sagittarius intersects into the Milky Way galaxy as it's being absorbed is our solar system. Now, millions of years ago, as this beginning of this absorption of this other galaxy began, and by the way, what I'm telling you now is taught in astrophysics in college today. It's not ancient history. But at the beginning of this absorption period, there were a lot of collisions happening inside of our solar system and big rogue planets floating through, creating havoc. That's why Uranus is tilted on its side. Saturn and Saturn and the other planet. What's that planet? Uranus, Saturn and Neptune switch places because of a gravitational shift. Things like that happen. Mercury is slowed down. It's only rotating 1 Earth day for every 60 Earth days for every 1 rotation on its axis for every 1 day on Mercury. All this kind of stuff happened because of all these collisions. Well, something collided. One of these things collided with Tiamat. It matches the same theory from astrophysics, the ancient tablets. It broke into a lot of pieces. It became the asteroid belt. That's what the asteroid belt is. That asteroid belt that goes around the sun, right beyond Mars, used to be Tiamat. Mars was a moon of Tiamat, a habitable moon, and so was our moon, was in an orbit around this Tiamat, but I think it was still artificial even at that time because the moon is made of helium-3, nothing else. Pretty interesting. And so when a big chunk of it swung away with all the water and organic material and life, recoalesced as the Earth, and then they put the moon in orbit around Earth so that it can stabilize Earth's wobble on its axis, as well as stabilize our seasons, our tides, and our weather patterns so that we can actually flourish again. If you take the moon away, if you move the moon 1 more Lagrange point back, living on Earth would be hell. The storms would be so violent that we couldn't even build houses. The waves and the sea would be so rough you couldn't even put a boat on it. The weather patterns would be erratic. You don't even know when you're going to have winter, when you're going to have summer. It'd be erratic, right? But you put the moon at Lagrange point where it's at right now at 5, all of a sudden everything stabilizes. It was put there artificially, okay, on purpose. And so the moon is made of helium-3, which is a very clean energy burning source. So if you want to create a moon base, you got plenty of fuel there. Just the moon itself is pure fuel, clean burning fuel with no bad emissions. And then the Earth is made of everything we already know. That's here, all these organic materials. So the moon didn't come from the Earth. The moon was put here on purpose, and it used to orbit Tiamat, in my personal opinion, based on the Sumerian tablets. And then Earth recoalesced, became the Earth. So our planet that we're on now used to be part of another planet in ancient times, according to the ancient texts. Not according to Billy Carson, according to the ancient tablets. This we are living on right now was part of. Now, to add more credence to this, you ever seen any of these weird reports? They call them OPART reports, where they found these out-of-place objects. Like they go into a mine for coal, and they find a vase that was at the depth level of 300 million years. They find a hammer that's 200 million years old, and all these crazy numbers. How can that be? How can that be if human beings are only a couple 100,000 years old? I'll tell you how it could be. In my opinion, those might be remnants, artifact remnants of when Earth was part of Tiamat, from that civilization, not from an earthly civilization. So that's what I think.
Wow, interesting.
Yeah.
Now this Epsilon, what's it called? Epsilon what?
Epsilon Boötis.
Now, talk to us about this because you discussed this in depth in the documentary. What exactly is this that you talk about?
Epsilon Boötis is a constellation with a binary star system. A binary star system inside of it. So it's two stars orbiting each other in this constellation that forms the constellation of Boötis. The Boötis constellation is about 145. Is it 145 light years away? I believe. And so, what's interesting about this? So, how did I get on the Boötis constellation? A couple things happened. The first thing happened was the Black Knight signal decoded by several people said Epsilon Boötis, 11 to 13,000 years constellation. That's where it was in the sky. I'm like, that's pretty interesting. So I started researching Boötis constellation. Let me see if I can dig anything up on this. Why would three individual people in three different time periods come up with the same decoding, this name of this constellation? And I find out that this constellation is in the Sumerian tablets. And guess who owns this constellation?
Who?
Enlil. You have Enki and Enlil in the Sumerian tablets. In the Sumerian tablets, Enlil has an all-seeing eye. He has the capability of seeing everything on Earth, what's going on Earth, how many populations, which populations are overgrown, who's growing crops. He has the capability of seeing all of this, right? So Enlil has this all-seeing eye, which in my opinion is the Black Knight satellite. And then Epsilon Boötis is attributed to being owned by Enlil. That's amazing. Wow. So, wow, here we go again. So 3 individual people in modern times decode this object. It says Epsilon Boötis constellation. Then all of a sudden, I read the Sumerian tablets. It's Epsilon Boötis is attributed and owned by Enlil, the Anunnaki god. And he's got an all-seeing eye that can see everything on the planet. So if you have a satellite that's orbiting pole to pole, it's going this way, and you have the planet spinning on its axis. As it spins on its axis and the satellite's orbiting, it's scanning swaths of land as it goes, big chunks, and then it can stitch them all together. Now you can see the topography, you can see the water layout, you can see the land masses, you can see the civilization populations. You can see everything. That's what a polar orbit does. It gives you the capability of scanning an entire planet. We now have polar orbiting satellites for the same purpose. Pretty interesting. So now he's got this all-seeing eye, which is the eye of Sauron in Lord of the Rings. It's a playoff of the ancient tablets. And we've got that he also owns Epsilon. Now, to add even more to this is all in the documentary. You got to check it out. Michio Kaku, one of the world's leading theoretical physicist, astrophysicist, and he's a bestseller. He's been in hundreds of TV shows and documentaries. Him and a few other theoretical physicists actually hypothesized that the Epsilon Boötis constellation has a cloaked advanced civilization inside of it. Okay, and so as I'm researching this stuff, I come across Michio Kaku, totally separate from Black Knight, some news show he's on. And he says there's a void in Epsilon. It's called the Boötis void. Okay. So I go to Boötis void. This is pretty interesting. And I go ahead and look into the Boötis void. This void is so massive inside the constellation, there's not even any dust particles in it. We can detect that there's not even dust. And Michio Kaku says it looks like light is being bent around an advanced cloaked civilization. So now we got potentially, this is all hypothetical, a potential advanced cloaked civilization in Epsilon. We have Enlil owning Epsilon, who's supposedly, according to the text, not from Earth. We have the all-seeing eye, which allows them to see all over the planet. We also have one more piece, a cylinder scroll that's depicting 2 people talking to each other. One's a regular person and one's an Anunnaki god, and they're using this device in between them to communicate between 2 planets. This is an ancient Sumerian cylinder scroll, which I'm going to go look at I'm leaving tomorrow to go to the UK, to Blackpool. And after I speak in Blackpool, I'm taking a train to London, and I'm going to go speak there, but I'm going to go to the British Museum and go where this actual cylinder scroll is actually located and document it for myself as well. You know, I like to go see things in person. But so we have the cylinder scroll. We have Epsilon being owned by Enki and Lil. We have the theoretical physicist thinking there's a cloaked advanced civilization there. It's just too many pieces of circumstantial evidence. And as you know, in America, if there's enough circumstantial evidence against somebody, they can be convicted. And so I'm putting all these pieces together and saying, hey, there's something here. And that's why I really had to make this documentary.
Man, this is getting real interesting. The people in the chat are going off. We got brilliant people in there. One of the things somebody said that I immediately thought of when you said Enlil all-seeing eye, is that the same as the all-seeing eye that we get in Egypt and Kemet, with the same as Ra or Horus?
No,
Something like
that's a different eye. That's a great question there,
Yeah.
Tori and Wilkins. So the eye that there's two eyes. One is the eye of Ra, or the eye of Horus, right? That is if you take a human brain and you slice it directly down the middle and open it up and look at the brain from a side view, you're going to see the eye of Horus shape. The
Right.
eye of Horus is actually an imprint of the inside of the brain.
Mhm.
Okay, and it shows the location of where the pineal gland is located in the brain as well. So that's what the eye of Horus is, the eye of Ra. It's supposed to really depict a higher level of consciousness, understanding things from the third eye point of view. But it is the imprint. So you take a person and slice their head right in half, like I'm facing the screen right now. If you slice my head right down the middle and open me up and then turn it this way, you're going to see the eye of Horus inside the brain. How do they know that? Did they explain? So it's pretty interesting. But we're talking about the all-seeing eye. He actually says in the tablets that he can see what's going on the planet at all times. And the only way to do that is with a polar orbiting satellite. What's also interesting with the polar orbiting satellite going pole to pole, if you look at the Great Pyramid, I've done workshops on this for many hours. As a matter of fact, on Forbidden Knowledge TV, I do a 39 or 36 hour Egyptian mystery school. In that mystery school, I spent about 6 hours talking about the Great Pyramid and the pyramids themselves, but specifically the Great Pyramid, because the building structure itself and the blocks give off mathematical codes. It's built into the architecture. Now, what codes am I talking about? Well, if you look at the location of the Great Pyramid, first of all, it's located at the center of land mass on Earth. Not the center of Earth, the center of land mass. Now, how can you get the center of land mass on Earth? There's only one way. You need a satellite in space orbiting the planet in a polar orbit to be able to scan the planet as it spins on its axis. And then you need to be able to calculate all the land mass and where it's located so you can pinpoint the exact node to put the Great Pyramid on and be at the center of the mass of land.
Mm-hmm.
That's number one. Number two, the Great Pyramid is the average height of all the peaks on Earth. Think about that for a minute. To get that information, you have to have a polar orbiting satellite that's scanning the orbit, that's scanning the planet, taking topography data. And it needs to scan every single peak, every mountain peak, every hill on the entire planet. And then it needs to take the total number of peaks and hills and to calculate the average height and depth. And then it needs to divide them by that number so it can get the average height. And then you can build a pyramid to the average height of the land of the peaks. That's pretty incredible. And then the next thing is the Great Pyramid. Within the calculations of the Great Pyramid, I have all these mathematical calculations. You can calculate the distance from the Earth to the moon, the distance from the Earth to the sun. You can calculate the speed of the Earth around the sun, and you can even calculate the speed of the sun around the galaxy. That's incredible stuff. And all that comes out of that one Great Pyramid. The Great Pyramid is a multifunctional stone computer, and the only way it can be constructed and built the way it was, you need data. And to get that data, you need a polar orbiting satellite. Pretty interesting.
Very, very interesting.
Yeah.
Have they ever tried to shoot down this Black 9 satellite? I mean, if you think about our government, if you this is a war, these are war criminals that run the world. They never tried to, nuclear bomb it or nothing.
No, you know why?
Why?
Because this thing is giving off a signal. And it's most likely probably a two-way signal. So there's one signal that we're picking up, and the NSA has been trying to communicate with this thing. They even have a whole document on how they're trying to communicate. Now, here's the other part. If this thing is that far away from light years away from another constellation, it knows where it's from. It could be quantum entangled with a communications device or a subspace frequency. And what's the relevance of that to your question? Well, if I send a missile to that thing to blow it up, it knows that it's getting ready to be blown up because this thing is intelligent. It's going to send a subspace frequency before it can get blown up instantly to the source, home base, whatever you want to call it. They're going to know, oh, they got weapons that can blow up our stuff now. Okay, here comes the cavalry. Or this thing could have a self-defense mechanism already built in. It could evade the strike or the attack, and then it could say, okay, time for them to reset this planet. It just release a toxin into the atmosphere and kill every single body in a week with no guns, no laser beams. We'll just kill you. We just make your water supply toxic, and then you're done. So not knowing these factors, you can't really go and try to snatch this thing out of the air. You can't try to blow it up because the fact of it's so intelligent. There's many ways that it could be detrimental to us if we mess with it.
Wow. Very, very interesting.
Yeah.
This is good stuff, family. Once again, family, make sure you hit the like button. We're talking about Billy Carson just came up with a new documentary on his streaming network. It's called Black Knight Satellite. I'm gonna share the link for y'all if y'all interested in viewing it. It's a very good, well put together documentary that Billy Carson put together. I advise everybody to check it out. So I just posted the link. It's on Forbidden Knowledge TV. That's the website, right?
Yeah, forbiddenknowledge.tv with the number 4, forbiddenknowledge.tv. You can watch it for free. You can just sign up for the free trial and watch the doggone movie.
Yeah. So you don't have to pay, family. Like the brother said, just sign up for the free trial and watch for free. After you finish, unsubscribe. I don't know, whatever you got to, but the brother said you could just sign up for a free trial and watch for free. But it's definitely worth viewing, family. I just shared the link in the chat, and it's also in the description. I was talking to you last week, Billy. This is a little bit off topic, but it's still on topic. And I'm getting ready to invest in a telescope. I got more view of the sky. I'm down south now, so I was asking your opinion about getting a good telescope so I can see the planets in the sky. And you showed me some pictures that you took with your telescope, and you showed me a picture of Mars. It didn't look like Mars at all. Right. It didn't look like the Mars that I've been seeing my whole life at all. I'm like, Billy, this looked like Earth or some shit like that. Where you get this from? So you was telling me about NASA lying about the color or the tint of Mars. So talk to me. You got the picture you can pull up real quick?
I'm trying to pull it up for you right now. I'm searching my Google images right now while you're talking.
Yeah, man. So talk to me about why did they have to change the color of Mars?
Yeah, they changed the color of Mars quite a bit, actually. So the thing with NASA is we all know that they lie a lot, obviously, because they're covering up things. It's not because we don't have the capability of doing things out there. It's because they don't want. The military has them not wanting the population of the world to know what's going on out there because that will destroy all the religious systems. And 85% of the world is religious. 85% of 8 billion people are praying to outside deities and believing in magic and wizardry with some guy in a white robe running around with a magic wand creating planets and giving people gifts. And so they don't want that to end because the religious system just in America is a multi-trillion-dollar control system industry. And just our churches in America bring in more money than all the Silicon Valley corporations combined in 1 year. Think about that number. It drives the economy like you wouldn't believe. And so they're not going to collapse that. Plus, it keeps the people under control because everything you see, every time you see a politician, in God we trust, God bless America, it's all this is God stuff. But these politicians don't give a damn about no damn God. They're just talking crap. It's all about playing the game and using the people and keeping the people as faithful servants to the system, paying their taxes and their dues and their tithes and everything else, and keeping them locked in this mental matrix where they can't get out and explore and realize that they are their own savior, that we are the gods we've been waiting on. Because once we realize that, we realize we don't need the government anymore. We realize that the government actually is supposed to be working for us. We hired them to work for us. We're paying them.
It's facts, yeah.
They're not, we're not their employees. They're our employees. Well, we got them telling us everything we can smell, eat, touch, feel, hear, who we can love, who we can't love, and all this other crazy stuff. And they're supposed to be doing what we tell them to do. But once we realize that we're God, that ends, and they know that. I found the image. Let me see if I can save it and put it up on the screen for you here.
Okay.
Let me save it, and then I'll pop it onto this PowerPoint, and I'll share my screen with it. Let's see here.
Your brother Rich about to get him a telescope, y'all. I'm gonna give me a nice one, man. I'm gonna be
man.
Shit.
I remember you called me about that the other day.
Yeah.
Incredible.
I seen a good one for about $1,000. I want to show you and get your opinion on it.
Okay.
I'll probably show it to you tonight and see what you think about it.
Yeah, man, definitely. Okay, I think I'm ready to do this now. Let me just go back here. to where you are. And let me just share the screen right quick. Now, the reason why that NASA says they show red is if you look at every image of NASA that they show of Mars, in the bottom corner, it always says false color. Every single one says, they tell you it's the false color. They say that they color it red because the reason this is their reason why they do this is to save in data transmission to process the image back here on Earth. So they make everything red. No, the red hides everything. That's why they do this. Now, this is my Celestron SLT telescope that I own. And this is my own image taken from the Celestron of Mars. This is a few years ago now that I took. Let me see what year I took this. I have to go back to the screen to do that. But this is probably 5 years ago, 6 years ago. This is Mars in the summer from Earth. You can clearly see blues, browns, greens. That's because Mars has life. And it's not just me saying this. Now NASA and other space agencies have finally come out and admitted that there's oxygen, there's a magnetic field, there's gases in the atmosphere, there's cloud, there's rain, and there's also billions of tons of liquid water, which they now have admitted to having. They even have come forward and said that the soil on Mars is better for growing crops than the soil on Earth, which is why all the billionaires are leaving to go to Mars. They're going to go to Mars, not because it's a barren, dry rock that they're going to live in a tin can for the rest of their life and leave all the creature comforts of their luxury lifestyle. They're going there because the infrastructure is being built up there and has been being worked on for a very, very long time.
Man.
Yeah.
Y'all seen that image of Mars? That was some that was some interesting stuff.
Somebody said they can't believe it. I tell you what, go find a telescope and I'll pay for it for you, and I'm gonna teach you how to use it, and then go look at Mars, and you come back on here and tell me what you believe and what you don't believe. Every time I make a challenge to somebody, they never take my challenges. I done told people, well, come on an airplane with me. I'll take you to 70,000 feet so you can see how the Earth looks. They never want to go.
Oh, when they tell you it's flat.
Yeah, they don't want to get on
the
plane.
Man, Billy, they don't like you for that, man. When you say the Earth is
they don't want to get on the plane.
Oh man.
They don't want to get on the plane. I said, come on a journey with me. Let's go to these places. Let's go to these ancient sites so you can see what I'm seeing, what your eyes, they don't want to go. They want to stay in their zip code.
Man.
It's okay.
Let me take a few questions a little early from y'all. Let me give me a few questions. I know it's going to take you a while to get to the questions, and while y'all do that, let me ask Billy another question about the Black Knight satellite. This is like, I'm going to watch it again for a second time tonight, family, because I know after talking to Billy tonight, when I watch it for a second time, I'm going to get new revelations watching it again. Let's talk about, Billy, quantum entanglement and alien signals.
Yeah.
Now, how does that work? Spooky action at a distance.
Spooky action at a distance. Einstein called it spooky action at a distance. Quantum entanglement works in a lot of ways. It really permeates the entire universe. And so what we found out, to give people an understanding, a basic understanding before I answer the question of what quantum entanglement actually is, if you take two particles and use a laser, you can phase shift both particles to the same frequency. You can do something called parabolic downward conversion on the particles and get them on the same frequency. And so what happens is, you can get one atom to spin rate up and one atom to spin rate down. Once you do that and they're linked permanently for life, through eternity, you could take one of those atoms and you could take it to the other end of the universe. And when you spin the one local to you up, the one 1,000,000 trillion light years away will spin down instantly, bypassing the speed of light, because everything is connected on this energetic grid, and distance is actually an illusion. Distance doesn't exist. There is no distance. Hard to wrap your mind around that concept, I know. So now we say, okay, if we're going to travel to on vacation to see the rings of Saturn, which is coming in the future, right? Probably 50, 60 years from now, that'll be an actual trip you can pay for. You can go see the rings of Saturn and come back home. Now, let's say you're out there, right? You're 100 million miles away from Earth, and you need to radio back to Earth to say, hey, there's a situation, we're having a problem, whatever. It's going to take 3 months to get the message back to Earth and 3 months to get the response back. Nobody has time for that. That's bad communication, which means that limits you from really wanting to take that trip, because communication is too long at the speed of light. What you do is you create a communications array, which might be what the Black Knight satellite is part of. And the communications array is already out there. You send it way out to deep space, years in advance. But you send it out quantum entangled with a communications device on Earth. So the communication device on Earth and the communication device on that probe way out there in deep space, they're entangled. So when you're out there in deep space, you don't send a message back to Earth. You send a message to the communications array that's out in deep space with you. The only time you have to wait for a response is the time it takes for your signal to get to that device, which could be just a few seconds or a few minutes. That device instantaneously transmits the message to Earth through quantum entanglement. It's decoded at the home base through a communication device. And then from there, a response can be sent back, bypassing the speed light instantaneously. Then the only delay you have for your answer is what it takes for the device to transmit it back to your ship, which could be just a few minutes or whatever, depending on your distance away from the device. So quantum entanglement through communication works vast distances. In other words, the Black Knight satellite could be quantum entangled to a device in the Boötis constellation. So it could be transmitting everything going on Earth since the Ice Age. Oh, now they've got the Renaissance. Now they've got the Industrial Revolution. Oh, now they've learned how to split an atom. They have bombs now. Oh, they got 20,000 bombs now. They got 20,000 nuclear, which we do have 20,000 nukes. But don't worry, guys. Don't come yet, because these bombs are pointed at themselves while they're still on the planet. That's how dumb we are. We got 20,000 nukes pointed at ourselves, and we don't even have an escape hatch. We can't even get away from the bombs. We're going to launch them while we're still sitting here. That's why people be like, they're worried about the alien. There's no alien attack. It's us attacking ourselves. So they're looking at all this foolishness, and they're like, man, these people are dumb. They're just watching us, okay? Waiting to see what the hell's going to happen next. This is a reality show. We're in episode 2022 right now, all right? And so they transmit this information at the speed of light. What's going on this planet is being transmitted at the speed of light, nonstop. Everything that's going on, population densities, technology, weapons, wars, advancements, consciousness, is all being transmitted in real time, 24/7. Okay, and at this beyond the speed of light, because it's quantum entangled. It's quantum entangled communications. And so, you know, they're waiting for the point possibly to see when we're going to wake up. Maybe when we get to the point where we as people on this planet actually learn how to love one another, and also realize that we have the true power, and that the 100 families that run this planet, it's time for them to go, and we oust them and get them from running this planet, and we take control of our planet. Maybe then these people get that information and come back. You know, so it's pretty interesting, man. It's pretty interesting. It's just, I think it's a communication device that definitely is quantum entangled with the home base and can transmit information beyond the speed of light.
In terms of human design and how we were made, or whoever made the human body and the genes, I know you talk about the gene splicing or the gene editing and the allele and inky and all this. This stuff gets real interesting, and it gets real confusing for a lot of people. One question I'm going to ask you is that oftentimes we understand and we talk about the idea of unity consciousness on the planet to ascend to the next level of consciousness and this energy that we call love. A lot of people feel as though, and especially in the melanated community, and maybe in other communities, they just won't say it out loud, but a lot of melanated people feel as though who we call black people and who we call white people are diametrically opposed to each other. Mm-hmm. That will never, ever, ever. That's not part of, and it's not being racist. That's not part of the design. That's not part of the story. That's not part of the movie called Earth for us to get along. The movie called Earth was designed for us to, for us to be against each other. So do you think that's something black people and white people, uniting in consciousness to elevate humanity to the next level?
It's happened before. So what you have to realize is that this Earth has had 4 golden ages on it already. That's how old this planet is. 4 advanced golden age civilizations have existed on this planet over the course of over 100,000 years. We were talking about going back millions of years. And so the Mayans say that we've gone through the 4 worlds and we're heading into the 5th. They didn't say it was over 4 years. They said the 5th is coming. The 5th world is coming. It's not that there's a destruction of a world and like everybody thought 2012 was. It's that we're heading into the age of Aquarius, the beginning of the starting of the Silver Age, heading towards another Golden Age. And if you really look into some of the ancient texts and some of the really, really ancient ones that I've gone over, like the Tibetan, hardly anybody even knows about this, the Tibetan Book of the Dead, in some ancient Tibetan scrolls that I have, and some other Indian Vedas, there was a golden age that was so grand and so vast. Everyone was unified and on this planet. And it wasn't just black and white. It was all races that at one point they were totally unified. And there is a time where we will head back into another golden age, and you can't stop it. It's a cycle. Everything is cyclical. Right now, it seems like this dichotomy, and it seems like this, two magnetic fields opposing one another and all this other kind of stuff, the way it's set up, because the divide and conquer system has been phenomenal. That neuroscience they put into this system they got us on it right now, that thing is rock solid, okay? However, if you understand the way that cycles work and the way that empires fall, every system has a failure date. Every single system. There's never been a system that has stayed in place for eternity on this planet because of something that rules the entire universe called entropy. Entropy says that all things move from an ordered state to a disordered state. It's one of the reasons why you actually even die. Entropy takes over your body and you actually die. Entropy infiltrates financial systems, education systems. It infiltrates political systems. It infiltrates every system that exists. Experiences entropy. The stock market right now is experiencing entropy. It moved from an ordered state to a disordered state. Then it will reorganize and start fresh again from an ordered state, and then it will move. It's a cycle. You can't stop. Golden ages, the Yuga cycles is what the Indians, the Indian Vedas call them, the Yuga cycles. We go from the bronze, the gold, the silver, back up into a gold again. The Tetra Yuga is what I believe we're in right now, the Tetra Yuga. And so these are cycles of time. And so even though you see what it looks like now, believe it or not, Richard, this is actually one of the best times to be alive on the planet so far since the last golden age. And let me tell you why. There have been far more darker times on this planet since the last golden age. When I say far more, I'm talking about magnitudes more worse than what we're experiencing right now. The black plague, the bubonic plague, the papal inquisitions. These are things that almost wiped out every person on Earth. Okay, the papal inquisitions alone killed 80 million people. There's not 80 million people dying right now today. No. 80 million for the sake of Christianity. That's how Christianity got spread around the world. It got spread around the world through the papal inquisition. 700 years of destruction, torture, murdering, killing, raping, slaughtering, burning, and all that for 700 years. He made the papal inquisitions made Hitler look like an angel, okay, like an absolute angel compared to what they did. But they don't want to talk about that. Then you had the American Holocaust. I did a whole podcast on the American Holocaust. I went through every single war and how many people were killed. 111 million indigenous natives in the Americas slaughtered and killed. The American Holocaust. Hitler looks like an angel compared to what we did over here. Well, not we, us, but them, right? And so there's been far more darker times than where we are right now. We actually have made a lot of progress. If you look at the chart, if you look at where we are right now on a chart, on like a stock market chart, you will see this going still in an upward motion from where we were to where we are now. And it's going to continue on that path. The last thing I'll say before I end this, if you look at how a baby learns how to walk, imagine the baby is humanity. And the baby crawls up to an edge of a chair or a table or a couch and it pushes itself up, right? That's where we are right now. We've pushed ourselves up. We're on our feet looking around now because we done went through the dark times of crawling around on the ground. Now we're trying to look up. But as soon as the baby takes one step, what happens to the baby? Baby falls down, right? So we fall down and it looks like everything is all over again. We back on our belly. It ain't what we thought. Everything's falling apart. We're enemies and they don't. And then what happens? The baby crawls back to the couch again, stands up again. Now the baby's brain, which is a global consciousness, it remembers how it fell. Oh, I got to have more balance over here. So the baby takes another step and another step and another step. Things look phenomenal. The parents are jumping around screaming. Then the baby plops down on his butt. Oh man, the baby fell again. That's the mass civilization. Oh, we fell again. Okay. It looks bad. It's gloomy. It's dark all over again. Baby gets up. Now the baby eventually gradually begins to walk. This takes thousands of years in our time, okay? You may not ever get a chance to see the full stride, but what is walking? Walking is a series of controlled falls. Look up the definition. Walking is a series of controlled falls. When you walk, that's all you're doing, controlling your fall, period. And when we get to the point where we can control our fall, then we're headed to a golden age. It takes time. Things look like they're moving slow because human beings only have a 75, 85-year lifespan. But on the global scale, things are moving at a pretty decent pace.
Wow, this is good stuff, y'all. Shout out to everybody in the chat right now. We got about 2,100 people. We're going to get to Q&A. I see y'all got a couple of questions in the chat room. Before I get to that, family, make sure you hit the like button. That is very important. Make sure you hit the like button. Make sure if you're not subscribed to this channel, make sure you subscribe. And if you would like to donate and you appreciate the content on this channel, you could donate via Cash App, $Black Magic 363. All right, family, let's get to some Q&A. All right. Can you ask him about the Dark Dynasty, the dynasty that they say they don't have much information about?
The Dark Dynasty, well, the whole thing about it is there's not a lot of information about the Dark Dynasty. And that's one thing, to be honest with you, it was so skimp and so little information for me to really get into. I just haven't been able to put up enough theories about it to really dig into it enough. As soon as I get more information, I'll bring it to you guys.
Excellent. Can you explain the heat waves and cows dying?
Good question, Cardi. I looked into the whole cows dying and heat wave theory. There was a heat wave because you can look up the data, the temp data from the satellite data for that region and that area. You can get a real good idea of the temps. What really seems to confuse me, though, is how that many can drop dead at the same time, almost as if there was some kind of synchronous death based on this heat. Now, I could see a few of them dropping here and there, maybe even a few hundred, but not thousands. So right. My hypothesis that I'm thinking is could be a couple things. And this isn't a fact. I'm just saying what I think. An advanced scalar weapon test, which could be from space or a drone, testing out a scalar weapon, which is a frequency weapon. Okay, just to see, hey, let's see if this thing works. What can it do to these animals? Let's test it out. Another thing that it could be, in my opinion, could be a mass poisoning. In some way, the feed these animals were fed was poisoned or tainted in some way, and they don't want us to know that the meat is tainted and poisoned, so they blamed it on heat. You know what I'm saying? That's another possibility. Another possibility could be some type of a plague or disease that they all have, and again, they don't want us to know because they still want to sell meat. So one of those three things is my personal opinion. I don't really believe in the heat story. I'm not I'm not a meteorologist or whatever, and I'm not an animal doctor, and I didn't have a chance to inspect any of these animals, so I can only speculate. Just my personal opinion, what I would probably go is one of those three.
Indeed. Let's get to a super chat question. Thank you for the super chat, Jane Jackson. Billy, do you think our solar system is the body systems for something much larger?
That's a great question, Jane Jackson. So if you look at the Hermetic principles, really are the Kemetic principles because they predate Hermes. Hermes is a Greek version of the land of Chem. But anyway, the Kemetic principles talk about as above, so below. And according to this principle, everything that exists in the macro exists in the micro. And so if you look at the universe as a whole, scientists now, mainstream scientists have finally come to the conclusion that the universe has so many inter-energetic connections that it's actually conscious. So the universe itself is alive. And so if you look at a human body as us being alive, and you see that we have a whole universe inside the body of cells, right, and everything else, each cell could be an actual universe. Because Elizabeth was just studying cell biology. She just got her certificate in cell biology, mitochondria, from Harvard University just about 2 weeks ago. And I was watching and looking at a lot of her research material that she had to do to take this final test and everything. And I was blown away at the amount of things inside of one cell. Like there's so much in one cell that cell is an entire universe. And so the body could be a multiverse. So if you look at it in the verse, in the way that the body could be a multiverse, and that we are in the universe. We could be part of a cell in the universe that is part of this multiverse. It just expands. I mean, you could just keep going on and on and on. Look at the human brain. The brain is enclosed in complete darkness. The brain doesn't know anything that goes on the outside at all. It has to get its friends, hearing, smell, taste, touch, right? It says, hey, senses, my friends, go out there and tell me what's going on. The friends go out and collect data. So the friends themselves can't even decipher the data. They can bring it back to the brain, though. They give the data back to the brain. They send the information back to the brain. The brain sorts it all out and projects a hologram as to what's going on outside. And we navigate through the third dimension based on the hologram from data collected from our sensory perception system. So if you look at it in a way that in the solar system, I definitely believe that we're part of a system of a living potential organism. This entire universe seems to be a conscious being.
I just seen a question I wanted to ask. Where is this at? Okay. Is the Black Knight satellite a mobile Stargate?
Oh, that's a good question.
That's interesting, right?
Yeah. Listen,
Woo!
I wanted to dig and add that to the documentary, but there was so much. You saw. I mean, you only have a certain amount of time.
Yeah.
And the more time, the longer you make it, the more you can lose people. Number one, because of the time. You can't air it in certain things, and then also the production costs go way up, right? And but this is a definite theory that we thought about, is the fact that the Black Knight satellite could be a mobile Stargate, just like the show that used to come on, Stargate. They had mobile Stargates in space. If you look at Stargate Atlantis, if you look at that old series, I think it's still on Amazon Prime Video or something, or Hulu. Stargate Atlantis, they had mobile Stargates. And so when I was watching that series, I was like, what if the Black Knight creates a Stargate in space? You know what I'm saying? Or we know that NASA has something called X points. They don't have them, but they found them. They discovered them from the satellite system that orbits Earth. They discovered this thing called X points. These X points are actually portals, natural nature that open and close every single day in random locations around Earth. And they open up portals and pathways directly to other planets and even the sun and the moon. Pretty interesting. The thing that they say is they don't know how to control them, like how to make them stay open and travel through them. What if this Black Knight satellite has the capability of controlling and holding open one of these portals? We don't know. It's all hypothesis. It's all speculation, but it's a great question.
Indeed. Do you know about the trees walking around?
The trees walking around.
Yes.
I haven't heard of that, Tori. I haven't heard about the trees walking around.
Okay.
I wish I had a little bit more context to that question.
Okay, let's get to the next one. Billy, is the human body a spacesuit?
That's a good question. It actually is a spacesuit because we're walking around in space right now. Right now, it's more than even a spacesuit because it's interconnected into the grid, the frequency grid. But the human avatar body has something on it called skin, and this skin is the largest organ on the body, and so it protects all the inner organs and everything else, and it's also an actual suit, is what it is. If it wasn't for the fact that we needed protection against the elements and the atmosphere and everything else, we wouldn't even need this suit on our body. We'd be able to walk around without it.
Right.
It's for protection. And so and if you look at Earth as a spaceship traveling through space, which it is, it's always on the move. We live on a spaceship. We live on a ship that travels through space. And so we need a spacesuit to be able to do that. And our atmospheric gases, we don't just have oxygen on Earth. Earth is not just, we don't just breathing in oxygen. People think that when you breathe in, it's all oxygen. No, you'd be dead. You got 21% oxygen. You have argon, helium, krypton, all these other gases that you breathe in. And only 21% is actually oxygen. And so there's all these atmospheric gases, which are molecules that you actually inhale on a daily basis, but also they can directly affect your body if you didn't have on this suit that we have on.
Indeed. Let me get to the next question. Can you please ask Billy about the significance of Polaris star in the Northern Lights phenomenon? And I'm gonna let you answer that. I'll be right back, Billy. You could just keep going.
Go ahead. Yeah.
All right.
So the Polaris star is very important because it's a star that actually, in the ancient times, it was a guiding star, believe it or not, to other star systems. The Polaris star was the It's just like if you're a sailor and you're sailing through the ocean, they would use a sextant. They would align that sextant with the North Star so they can navigate the stars at night. And before we had GPS and everything else. Well, according to these ancient tablets, these beings would navigate using the Polaris star, which is pretty interesting. The Northern Light phenomenon is when you have charged particles coming in contact, charged particles from the sun that come in contact with magnetic waves coming up out of the earth. So the earth has a magnosphere, a magnetic energy field that comes out of the earth and whips around the planet. And as the planet spins on its axis and moves around the sun, it actually creates something called bow shock. And so these magnetic waves, they bend and they whip around in the sky or in the upper orbit area of around the planet. And when these charged particles come in and actually impact the magnetic field in certain ways, it creates these lights, these incredible lights in the sky. And so that's what you're seeing up there. And so that's charged particles colliding with magnetic fields. That's basically what it is. Great question. While Rich is off right now, I want to answer another question that I saw. Somebody said, how can you believe in Enki and Enlil and not believe in Jesus? If that person is still on, I did see that question. First and foremost, I don't believe in Enki and Enlil. I don't believe in anybody. I don't believe in any outside source. I believe in myself, period. And I'm going to continue to believe in myself because the power that created this entire universe is inside of my body. And it's also inside of your body. There's only one consciousness that exists, and every single one of us is housing a fractal of that consciousness. Now, and when it comes to Enki and Enlil, what I believe in, I believe that what I believe about them is that they actually existed, that they walked this earth because they've been recorded in over 15 different cultures around the entire planet and well documented. And I don't believe that our ancestors were. I don't believe that people hallucinated. 15 different civilizations hallucinated these people and their characteristics. I just don't believe that could be a coincidence. The other thing is that Jesus is a real person. I've talked about Jesus all the time. Jesus is not God. He is God in the flesh, just like we are. He tried to tell us that. And he said, ye are also gods, but Christians don't want to hear that either because they don't want to take the responsibility that comes with that knowledge. They want to be able to still put things off on the devil, Satan, and then Satan made me do it, so I could repent, and now I can still go to heaven. And so it's a dichotomy of this good and this evil and blaming outside sources instead of taking full responsibility for your own actions. Next question.
Billy ain't taking no shit today, y'all. No shit today. Yeah, Billy. They said Billy in his bag today. He is, right? He got that no bullshit personality tonight. Oh man. Where will there be? Let me see. Ask Billy, will there be an alien presence, a real presence?
Yeah, well, they're already here. What people don't understand is that the invasion has already started. It already began thousands of years ago. A lot of people are walking around us right now. You wouldn't even know that they weren't human. They said that they walk amongst men, but unlike men. Even to this very day, they're still here. Now, when a mass presence and they are made aware, that won't happen until something special happens on Earth. That won't happen until we, as the people of the planet, take back control of this planet from the 100 families that are running it. When we come to the point where we stop participating, taking over this planet, it doesn't mean war. It doesn't mean we got to pick it and we're going to go out and do like we did for George Floyd and go run around the streets and breaking into stores and all that kind of stuff and crying on TV. Taking control of this planet means one thing and one thing only. We stop playing the game. The day that millions of people wake up and realize, you know what? All we got to do is stop paying the mortgages, paying the taxes. We got to just stop paying the loans. We're just going to stop feeding them. We're going to save up and we're going to stock up our fuel and our supplies. And then we're going to take a couple of months off. We're not going to buy any gas or anything. 100 million people are not going to go to work on a Monday morning one day. And that's when they're going to realize, oh man, it's over. When military officers and police officers also wake up and realize, oh, we got to stop. You know what? It's time to stop playing this game. And then they will have to negotiate with us because we will take our rightful place back as the rulers of the planet, as the people and the majority not the small group that's running it, the minority that's running it. And when we come to realize that true power, it's just a matter of not participating and the game is over.
If this is a game, a video game, and I talked about this one time by myself, and I don't know if I talked about this with you before. What percentage, I hope I didn't ask you this before, what percentage of the human population would you say is what we call non-playable characters, or just soulless avatars, or just,
Yeah.
they're just extras in this thing? What
I believe
percentage?
there's a percentage. I believe there's probably about 15-20% of the people that are walking around are a combination of soulless avatars and also beings from other places that are just monitoring and watching and hiding out and just looking, just studying. I think about 20% of the population. That's my personal assessment that I feel. These you look at what we do when we go to Africa to go do a National Geographic film. We hide we get these camera systems they call hides. They're called hides. You get underneath these canvases and you got the camera in there and you blend in with the surrounding terrain and you observe the animals and you spy on them. We even hide cameras in their dens so we can see how the pups live and all of that. We look at their social interactions, and then we alien abduct the animals. We shoot them with a tranquilizer dart when they ain't looking, and we knock them out. And we take their bodies away from where they were. We put them in a laboratory. We poke and prod them. Take genetic material out of them. Take blood out of them. We take their eggs. We take their sperm, and then we put an alien tracking device in them. We put an alien, boom, right inside their body, and we track them for the rest of their lives. That's the same thing that's happening to us.
As above, so below, huh?
Yeah.
Who rule? I thought this when you said about the bloodlines. Who rule over the elite on Earth? The 13 bloodlines. Who rules them?
That's
they getting help from somewhere, Billy.
That's the Rockefeller Foundation. They believe they have the right to rule over people. That was the exact quote from the Rockefeller. He said,
"No. Who rules the Rockefellers?" Like,
I'm getting to that. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So he said that we have the right because of our link and our lineage, our bloodline. Who is the bloodline? The bloodline is the bloodline of Marduk in the Bible, also known as Amen-Ra. Marduk is also in the Jewish Torah. Marduk is Aten, the sun disk. He ruled from the sky in the ancient tablets. This guy is the one that right now still has control over planet Earth. When you see that the sign of Pisces on the backs of cars and vans, and the Christians think it's because it's representing Jesus feeding the multitude with fish, that's an ancient symbol that's attributed to Amen-Ra. That's the symbol of his kingship over the planet Earth and the people. And he still runs this place until 2025 or abouts, when the age of Aquarius kicks in and it's supposed to be given over to someone else. Now, what's interesting is, in order to get this kingship, he went to battle to take over, and he went to battle to keep it. And now, could there be another battle for him to sustain this again past the beginning of the Aquarius? We'll see. But it's these beings, these advanced beings. Some of them were good. Some of them were evil. He's one of the bad ones. Yeah.
Somebody just sent me a question on Cash App. What does Billy think? Thank you, Alicia. What does Billy think about the Galactic Council?
I think they're real. I think there's a federation that exists. I think that they have a prime directive not to interact with specific civilizations before they reach a certain level of technological advancement and consciousness. And that's what I was trying to say earlier. I think that we're being watched, and they're trying to see how we interact with each other. How are we going to take back? When we realize that there's a very small number of people, including even these couple of beings that may be influencing and nudging mankind in one direction, when do we realize we can take control of this planet? And then I think at that point, the Federation will then step in and give some assistance. But until we wake up and realize who we are, that we are God walking in the flesh, that we have the power to control our own destiny, that we can control our reality, and that we are not to be or have a boot on our neck by a group of oligarchs. And I think then and only then will we be potentially notified and maybe even given a seat at the table sometime in the future. Right now, we have pharmaceuticals. We have suppression of highly advanced technologies that could free up the world, like free energy devices, perpetual motion devices. The guy who just invented another water-driven car just got shot with the guy who went to the grocery store the other day. The first person that was shot was the black guy that created the car that runs on water. And then Biden mentions his name in a statement. So he knew the guy invented the car that ran on water. So until we get rid of all this evil going on here and take control of this planet, I don't think we're going to hear from them. They want to wait till we're growing up enough to even be able to handle it.
Mm-hmm. We're going to get to about 4 more questions, then we're going to get out of here. That's cool with you, Billy?
Yeah, man.
All right. Once again, family, I want y'all to all check out Black Knight Satellite. You can watch it for free on forbiddenknowledge.tv. I just posted the link in the chat room, family. That documentary was absolutely awesome. We got 2,500 people. Like I said, you can watch it for free. So all 2,500 of y'all should go over there and sign up and take a look at it. It was real good, family. I'm gonna watch it again tonight. Can you ask Billy about the Antarctic ice wall and the life over there?
Good question. I have one guy who's going to have a TV show on my network. His name is Brad Olson. Very good friend of mine, a best-selling author. He's an award-winning journalist and explorer. This guy goes all over the world. He's been to Antarctica. Matter of fact, some of the footage that he shot in Antarctica is going to be on Forbidden TV, exclusively on Forbidden Knowledge TV. And I can tell you from the knowledge that I have, the knowledge that he has, and many others that actually are real explorers that actually go travel. Look at my passport stamps. There is no ice wall circling this planet. There is no wall of ice. That's just a bunch of YouTube channels making a whole lot of money off of your views and sucking people in and getting them to believe in things that they'll never be able to explore and research on their own. And we're going to document this. There is no ice wall. There is no land beyond the ice wall. I've been around this planet now 4 times, almost 4.5. And that's tomorrow I'm leaving again and going on the other side of the planet. So I've been around this world many, many times. There is no ice wall. The best thing that you can do is you can start saving money. Start saving money from things like, shopping for clothes you don't need, buying weed, hanging out, going to clubs if that's the stuff you do, or whatever other things you do that you don't need in your life. Save that money, get a passport, and start traveling. And then a lot of your questions will be answered just by getting on an airplane and traveling around the world. And no, you don't need to be Jabberwowski'd. All you need is to get on a plane and have a PCR test in most countries. And now even most countries don't even need that anymore. That's starting to fall away. I just found out to come back to the U.S., I don't even need the PCR anymore either. So that just started recently. So it's no excuses anymore. We got to get on airplanes and we got to travel.
Yeah, I would love to hear people talk more about Antarctica. I hear so much about Antarctica, the ice walls and what's beneath there and civilization over there. It's a very interesting
down there. Now there is a civilization down there. That is true. There's a gigantic opening in Antarctica, about 35 meters wide, and down there's a base. Every major country is there, and except one is not a country. One of the bases is called the Rockefeller Foundation. There you go again. They take control of this information too. They're researching what's inside this hole. As these ice sheets are melting and these ancient civilizations are coming back up out of the ice, they're already down there scouring it for technology and information and keeping it from the general public. And you can actually see this on Google Earth. You can actually see the research facility. All the names of the research facilities are labeled. They don't hide it. And one of them is the Rockefeller Foundation as well. So there is a civilization down there. They're researching it. They're getting the information and getting all the tech out of it and everything else, keeping it from us. Buzz Aldrin was down there, and they kicked him out. He said that they were dealing with the ultimate evil. That was his tweet that he made. Millions of people screenshotted that tweet and saved it. Luckily, before they made him take it down. And then they sent him home, said he was sick. But what he saw down there horrified him.
Somebody said, what about the pyramids in Antarctica?
Good question. There's a pyramid in Antarctica that's larger than the Great Pyramid at Giza. Larger than it. And it still has an apex. If you look at most of the pyramids around the world, the tops are all missing because that's the finishing piece of the machine. This one particular pyramid has the top on it. I discovered this pyramid 10 years ago. It actually made the Ancient Aliens TV show. My research made it onto TV. We have the coordinates and everything. And what's interesting, every time I post it on Instagram, they take it down and they tag me and take away my monetization. Okay. They just did that just again 2 days ago. That same exact post. They just did it again. I didn't repost it, but they found one that they didn't find earlier from 2018, and they just took it down, took away my monetization. What's the big secret about this? And the thing is actually there because it's been documented now by not only that show, but a few other shows have now documented this discovery as well. And what's interesting is the apex is still giving off some type of weird energy signal frequency, because the apex is not missing. It's still there. The thing was probably buried in ice, and now it's coming up out of the ice. And so it's a pretty interesting story that this pyramid is down there. It's super massive, and it has energy coming out of it.
All right. Let's see. Billy, any thoughts on timeline manipulation?
Oh man, that's a good question. See, so
Yeah.
listen, I believe in that. So imagine we can all time travel right now, because we do it every single day. We already time travel. We time travel through conscious thought. So every single thought that we think, or every decision that we make right now today, it creates a ripple in space-time that alters our future reality in the third dimension. So right now, if I think about something, I think I want to pick up this cup that's on my table. Now that thought has gone out. The frequency has gone out. Now I have the ability to make a conscious action behind it, and I can pick up the cup on the table. Now, what does this prove? It proved that I time traveled through consciousness. I thought about picking up the cup, and then I picked up the cup. What does that mean? My option was I didn't have to pick up the cup. So my thought about picking up the cup created an actual intersection in space-time. Now, if you look at it in a bigger way, the decisions you make today, due to the principle of cause and effect, the comedic principle of cause and effect, are going to create a ripple in space-time, and they're going to alter your future reality in the third dimension. You're going to time travel through consciousness, and you catch up with the decision. So if you make a decision to drink, okay, and knowing you're going to drive, so you know you're making a decision to get behind the wheel and drive this car, and you know you're drunk. At some point, and so many times you do that, you're going to catch up to a future situation where you're going to crash that car into something. It's just a reality. You're going to meet up with the future from the conscious thought and the actions that you put out there, right? And so that's a way of time traveling. Now, that's a rudimentary format of time traveling through consciousness. What about the machine that they've developed? They've developed this machine that has the same capability, but it has the capability of changing future outcomes. And they've been experimenting with this for a very, very long time, manipulating timelines, altering future realities, changing frequencies, altering people's conscious frequencies as well. And so this is something that they've been working on for a long time, and I believe it's true, and I believe it's real.
We're gonna get to one last question. Well, two more. Somebody asked on Cash App, will you have conferences for like minds, and where's the first place they should travel? Because you talked about traveling. So
yeah.
Then I'm asking one more. Go ahead.
So I am going on a world tour. I'm doing the Forbidden World Tour. That's coming up in 2023. Okay. 2023, we're going on the Forbidden World Tour. It's going to be amazing. It's going to be, let me put this up. That's one. Let me put this one up here. Put this slide up for you. That's the awards. Okay, well, that's the answer. First annual awards. Here's the World Tour. I'm sorry.
Oh, you got the awards coming up?
Oh, I got the awards coming up too. I'll tell you about that as well. Yeah.
Oh man.
Let me tell you about that since it's up already. So we got the first annual Forbidden Knowledge, Forbidden Conscious Awards.
Dope.
Okay. It's going to be on the same level as the Oscars, the Grammys, the Tonys. The same level, except there'll be nobody getting smacked. Okay.
Oh man.
All right? There'll be no smacking. All right. And it's going to be an amazing event. Red carpet, blue carpet, VIP section with plated dinners, the whole works, 1,000 people. And you guys, the world, you're going to pick the nominees and you're going to pick the winners. You're going to pick them through text messaging and through web ballots, depending on what country you're in, because some people can't text from out of the country. And we're going to give you, before we launch the whole campaign, we're going to put out a huge list of potential nominees, right? My little team is going to do that. All their links to their social media websites, YouTube, all the things that they've done in life, you can check them out, research them. Then you're going to start voting on which nominees you want to see. Then out of that, our team will pick the top voted nominees in 11 categories. And we'll take 3 people from each of the 11 different categories, and we will fly them in at our expense, first class, put them in a hotel at our expense, and pay for their transportation and their meals. And then they will be at the actual award ceremony along with everyone else. And then the people will also vote on who wins out of the 3 picked in each category, who actually is the winner. And that will be tallied up before the show so we can actually buy their actual trophies. And we will play a nice little trailer of each one of the 3 nominees on the screen, just like they do at the big award shows. And we'll call up the actual winner, and they'll get to come up and do a speech and accept their nice, beautiful award. It's going to be an amazing first-class event. It's going to be in South Florida. It's going to be amazing. And it's the first ever award show for the conscious community. Radio shows and podcasts like yourself, Richard, TV producers, speakers, influencers on social media. There's a lot of categories, 11 categories. And then the 12th category is one Lifetime Achievement Award, which is going to be somebody that has been doing this for 30, 40, 50 years. There's 3 or 4 people I can name off the top of my head. They'll be as nominees, and you guys can select which one's the winner out of that. But the world is going to pick them. The conscious community itself is going to pick the nominees and the winners and get also a chance to participate in this great event. And it'll be the first annual Forbidden Conscious Awards coming up in July 29th, 2023.
Dope. And the other question was, where's the first place they should travel?
First place you should travel is going to be, I believe, in my opinion, always go to Egypt first. Egypt is a place of so many wonders. I mean, you can go there dozens of times and still not see everything, first of all. And every time you go to the same place, you're going to see more things that you didn't see the last time, you know? So I'm going back, obviously, this October. This will be my 4th trip to Egypt. I'm taking 65 people with me plus my team. So that's 70 people total, 75 people total that's coming with me to Egypt in October this year. That whole trip was sold out months ago. We're already selling out for October 2023, same exact dates. And so if you want to go to Egypt with me, I'll be your private guide. We're going to go to all these ancient sites, 7 days of incredible VIP status touring, where we're the only people at some of these sites where there's no tourists around. I've got the whole pyramid complex to myself. You know what I'm saying? I got the whole Sphinx to myself. There's nobody allowed, and the military is guarding us. Nobody can even get in there. So it's going to be an amazing event, touring all around Egypt, going down the Nile on a Nile cruise and stopping off in all these different locations, Thebes and Luxor and everything else. So it's one of the places that you just have to go because for whatever reason, it just resonates with almost everybody on the planet. Egypt resonates. When you get there, you're going to understand what I'm saying. It just resonates. It's almost like ancient memories start coming back. So that's the first place I would probably go.
Indeed.
Yeah.
Hey, I guess we're gonna end it there. I want to thank you once again, Billy, for coming on the show. You had a great let me get this off the screen. Your documentary is absolutely amazing, brother. So keep up the great work. I posted the link. Let me post the link one more time for everybody. I advise everybody you can watch it for free on forbiddenknowledge.tv. I advise everybody to go over there and watch tonight or whenever you get a chance. Leave any contact information you can for the people, Billy.
Well, just go to forbiddenknowledge.tv or short version is 4bk.tv on any web browser. You can also find us on Apple TV, Roku, Amazon Fire TV, Google Play, iOS platform, and of course the web. And you can sign up for a free trial and you can watch as much stuff as you can watch in 3 days. So you might as well get on there. There's 6,000 shows up there. And so far this year, we put up, I think, so far 6 new series. And each series has multiple episodes for a season, brand spanking new content, as well as, of course, the Black Knight Satellite documentary, which is our #1 watch show up there right now.
People keep this got to be the last one. People keep asking. I didn't get a chance to ask about the solar flares. They want to know your opinion about the increased solar flares hitting the Earth.
Good question. So the Earth has a magnetic field, and the magnetic field is being warped and twisted and bent right now because of something interesting that happens every so many cycles. Earth has what we call a magnetic pole shift. And so we can detect this by looking at the volcanic rocks and analyzing the actual magnetic field in the volcanic rocks, because volcanic rocks have metal in them. And when they harden, they lock the magnetic field that they had on Earth at that time. So we know that every 27,000 years, we have a magnetic flip because the rocks we found from that time period show that the magnetic field was different. So that north was opposite of south. South and north flipped. And we're heading for another flip. Right now, magnetic north which is what airplanes use to navigate, is over Russia and moving past Russia now. So magnetic north isn't true north anymore. It's actually all the way over in Europe. As a matter of fact, the airlines have had to change the landing information on the runways to match with the magnetic field, because that's how we navigate through airplanes. So they've had to alter so that we can actually line up with the right runways to land, because the magnetic field is moving so fast. Well, what this does, it creates gaps in the magnetosphere. And so when you have solar flare activity, we're reaching a solar maximum. So we're in the solar maximum, and the magnetic field is bending in a certain kind of way as it wants to begin this flipping process. And that leaves a giant gap. And if these solar flares come in, we could be in a bad situation. You're talking about, that's a catastrophe. We don't even want to have a discussion about that kind of catastrophe. When I was with, doing my remote viewing training, the guy that was doing the training with us, Major Ed Dames, one of his actual classes is about finding a safe zone for what he calls a disaster that's going to happen by solar flares coming through the magnetic field. And he did a whole 18-hour class on this and how to find the safe zones and everything else. And his is in the Mediterranean. But he says that he calls it the kill shot is what he calls it. He says there's a kill shot coming. And the kill shot is when these solar flares come down through the magnetosphere and touch the Earth and create a catastrophe. That's his personal hypothesis on what he's done based on his own research. So it's pretty interesting. I attended the classes. I went through the entire course. I studied everything that he had. It was in Orlando, Florida, about 4 years ago. Pretty interesting, man. I ain't gonna lie. It was kind of scary too. But his hypothesis is that there's a kill shot coming, and it's going to be a CME. A CME is a coronal mass ejection. He says it will strike the Earth sometime in the future and create havoc. And he said even people who are at war, they will look up in the sky and turn around, and the soldiers will just go home. So pretty interesting.
Wow. With that being said, my brother, leave your contact information for the people who want to get in touch with you.
Yeah, you can text me at 954-245-0086. Again, you can text me at 954-245-0086. Every day I spend about 35-40 minutes going through the text messages, answering questions when I'm on airplanes, when I'm in hotel rooms and stuff like that. So again, text me 954-245-0086.
Indeed. And the website to watch the documentary one more time?
4bk.tv with the number 4. 4bk.tv. It'll take you right to the Forbidden Knowledge TV section, and you can just click on the Black Knight Satellite Beyond the Signal documentary, and you can watch it for free. Just get the free trial and watch that and whatever else you can watch within that time period.
You got a lot of options on there, a lot of stuff to watch.
A lot of stuff. 6,000 shows.
Hey, thanks to everybody for tuning in. We still got about 2,300 people. Thank you so much. Like I said, family, I should be back tomorrow with the brother Yaki in the interview that you all been waiting for. Make sure you go watch Black Knight Satellite tonight. Family, with that being said, have a good night. Peace, y'all.
Peace. Thank you.